The fella gets worked up, doesn't he? Hello and a good afternoon, may I be the first to say. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. It's Thursday, August 24th. We'll never call it Friday Eve on this radio show unless you as a caller slip it in. And if you do, immediate termination of the call.
It's Friday Eve all day long on the Matt Murphy Show.
So this is where I have to get all serious and explain to you that I'm not kidding, and I'll throw something at you, or I'll demand your immediate termination or whatnot.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
That's Bell K. Headless Bell, we like to call him, behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible, and he refuses to be on television, hence why we call him Headless Bell. It's episode 406 of this broadcast. Thank you for being there. You can catch it on 99.7 FM. You can also find it on a variety of streaming platforms, and, basically type in Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You'll find us. We're there, I promise you. And then, of course, Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Join us on the F&M Bank chat line on those features, and we'd love to hear from you, and we thank all of you for participating in the show. I love turning a monologue into a dialogue, or, as the case may be, a dialogue into a trialogue, whatever you want to call it. And I appreciate your participation in the broadcast, whether you do so on the phones or via Super Text, 615-737-9986. At 1:05 this afternoon, we'll speak to country music megastar John Rich. He has a new album out. He has a new, I don't know, do we still call it albums? Do we call,
An album is a collection of material.
So we can still call it an album.
Yes.
He has a new album out, and he has a single off that album. Here's what I'd like to do. I think if we have John on at 1:05, I think I should go a little early into the break this hour and then come out of that before the top of the hour news and play you the song, which is called I'm Offended.
I'm offended.
Yeah, and
I'm offended.
You're offended that we're doing that?
Yeah.
Well, I think the song might help you if you happen to be. It has
well, hey, you know what? I'll take it.
Did you watch the video?
I did.
There's a Patriot Mobile's in the video. One of my fine sponsors on the Matt Murphy Show, Patriot Mobile, features prominently in the video. I'm going to ask John about that. He also has got the My Pillow guy in there, and I sleep on a My Pillow.
It is what we should we say is a anti-woke video.
A little bit of an anti-woke
song.
deal. There's can I call him a dwarf?
Little person
is dwarf. I think dwarfs.
Dwarfism is a medical condition.
Is a certain, and I don't know if that guy specifically has a medical condition or he's just a little, so I should call him a little person. Yeah. I can't use the M word, though. That's a definite no-no.
No, you can use that if you want. I'm fine with that.
You're okay with that?
Yeah.
Or is anybody else okay with that?
Who cares?
Well, I do. I'll get dismissed.
Please, we're not going to worry about a bunch of mental midgets.
BEL.KAEH at cumulus.com. I think that's right. Or I don't think that's right. Now that I remember what your actual email is. Anyway, we've got that coming up at 1:05. Robbie Starbuck around 2:30, giving his analysis on the debates and the action at the Fulton County Courthouse today. At the Fulton County Jail, I should be more specific. Donald Trump is surrendering today at the Fulton County Jail in Atlanta, Georgia, for charges presented against him. Miss Fanny has decided that she wants to hold this trial October 23rd. I think, is that this year? I just saw it on my screen, and I'm not sure if I have this correct. Really? Let's go, baby. Let's do this. Let's make this happen. Let's dispatch of this garbage as quickly as possible. It will only empower the Donald. And speaking of empowering the Donald, let's get to analysis of the debate last night. First and foremost, I don't do winners and losers in these debate-type formats. And here's why. There's a couple of reasons. One, I have a psychological predisposition to run against the flow of water or against the herd on just about everything. Bell K has learned this about me. If everybody's talking about something, I have a tendency to go a different route. I got nothing. I'll give you a good example. I was late to embrace Oliver Anthony because everybody embraced Oliver Anthony. I think it's a great song. You know why, though? I don't know Oliver Anthony.
Well, not he's a ginger.
Well, sure. A two-tone ginger, too, by the way. I mean, the carpet and the drapes. Come on, man. I mean, I'm saying the the beard's a lot redder than the head.
That is true.
I don't know if that's a condition common to most ginger people or not, but it is true. But
don't use an oxymoron like that.
I enjoyed the song. I think it's a great song. I think it really captures the manner in which people are feeling right now about the state of affairs in our country. But that parlayed itself into an overall embrace of Oliver Anthony, to which I thought, I don't know Oliver Anthony. So I don't know what his lived values are. I'd like to get to know him, but I don't know him. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. So on the winners and losers front, here's what I'd tell you. I don't do winners and losers because I think we are all predispositioned with our individual biases when we walk into a setting like that. I am predisposed not to care for Mike Pence or Nikki Haley because they're both war hawks. And with my libertarian stripe running real wide in terms of the United States of America being the world police, I have problems with war hawks. And I have a problem with Mike Pence and his foreign policy initiatives. You can disagree with me. You can disagree with Nikki Haley. You can disagree. I can disagree with Nikki Haley. I can disagree with Mike Pence. It's all good. But I'm bringing those predisposed biases into the conversation when I sit down to watch the debate. So Mike Pence could have done objectively better than I'm going to give him credit for because there are certain policy positions that I disagree with him on. Conversely, I hear all of these folks attacking Vivek Ramaswamy for being a rookie and being a neophyte and a newbie, and you don't know what you're doing, and you're new to the stage, and you're wet behind the ears, and all of those other things. And it galvanizes my support for him. So regardless of how he responds to that, I'm going to be predisposed to be defensive of him because I don't like these establishment jackasses going after him in the way that they were going after him.
Why is it bad to be a citizen politician?
Which is what Thomas Jefferson was and John Adams was and George Washington was. So, I mean, you know how old Thomas Jefferson was when he wrote the Declaration of Independence?
32?
32 or 33. I thought he was 33. But I could be off a year. But yeah, right in that range. Early 30s. So stop it with Mike Pence completely turned me off last night when he thought that he was scoring real points playing the daddy figure and telling the youngsters to go play at the kiddie table. But that leads me to the ultimate point. It was all kiddie table last night. So I'm on the record, and you regulars, you full-timers for the Murphy Show, you've heard me say that I thought that Donald Trump needed to debate. Not because he needs the poll numbers. He obviously does not. But because he owes it to the American people. Out of respect to the American people, I wanted to see him on stage. I am a purist when it comes to debate formats like this, inasmuch as if you're running, I think you should debate, and I do not believe that your polling data should be a calculus by which you decline to debate. I understand the politics of it, and I don't begrudge those that feel that way. I mean, my good friend Brian Wilson with The Drive, he makes the excellent point that Donald Trump did not need to debate. And I agree with that and have agreed with that. But I also think that he should want to debate because he's interviewing for a job. Well, I take it back. I take it all back. Trump was right. Murphy was wrong. Trump is smart. Murphy is dumb. To be on that stage last night would be to lower yourself, and I can't believe I'm saying this about Trump, lower yourself into the muck and the mire that was the snapping and the infighting and the fussing and Brett Baer and Martha McCallum absolutely losing control of the format. I deserve a 30. I deserve that. No, you shut up. You shut. And then they're talking over one another. And Mike Pence was the worst offender. I suppose someone told him right before the debate began that he needed to be tough and look like a commander-in-chief. So because I recognize my bias coming into the debate format, I don't know that we can objectively declare who the winners and losers are from a content perspective. If you liked Ron DeSantis when you went into the debate, you're going to figure out a reason to like Ron DeSantis during the debate and in the aftermath. The same with Nikki Haley, the same with Mike Pence. Okay, I think we can all agree that Asa Hutchinson he didn't need to be there, right? So maybe that's what we can agree on. Plus, that bloody eye was freaking me out, man. It's wrong, but it's true. I could not listen to the things coming out of the guy's mouth because I'm thinking, what's wrong with his eye? My God, what happened to his eye? Somebody poked him right in the eye.
Is that the guy that got injured in the pickup basketball game?
No, that was Gingham or Gummum.
So he didn't show up at all?
No, he was there.
Oh, he was?
He had crutches.
Oh, gee. Well,
no, he broke his leg yesterday and was at the debate last night.
Good on him.
And he made a joke about it. I'm sorry that I've forgotten his name. Somebody on the super text line told me it was like he's the governor of North Dakota, I think. Self-made billionaire.
Yeah.
Gungham.
LeBron.
Gumman. LeBron. He made the joke. He said, "Yeah, I told everybody I made the debate stage, and everyone told me to break a leg, and I took them a little seriously." I liked what he had to say. I mean, he's got no shot and he's low energy, but I liked what he had to say.
Now, the thing about these guys that have no shot, though, is a lot of times they serve a really good purpose in bringing up issues that otherwise may not get any play at all.
I agree.
You know, I agree with you. I don't think there's not a hope in hell that he's going to be president, but hopefully, what he brings to the table is, issues being addressed that wouldn't otherwise.
It's the same reason I always appreciated Ron Paul being in debates and Ron Paul being on the presidential debate stage, because Ron Paul's the guy that comes to the party, pees in the punch bowl, and leaves. And he did it with regularity. And I saw a little of that last night. Not so much with Asa Hutchinson. Chris Christie was funny. Chris Christie did what Chris Christie is there to do. Chris Christie is not there to win the presidency. He's there to attack Donald Trump.
And wipe out the deli tray.
And wipe out the green room snacks. Yes. Which I'm certain that he did. It was the most entertaining part of the debate, watching fat guy and skinny kid go after one another. And yeah, Vivek stole Obama's line. I don't know if he thought that was going to be funny. I don't know if he realized it was an Obama line. Kudos to Chris Christie for recognizing it in real time. That it was an Obama line from 2007. Oh, who's the skinny kid with the funny name? Ha, ha, ha. Vivek last night. Who's the skinny guy with the funny last name? Ha, ha, ha. Same line. That's okay. Nothing new in politics. I would play you all of this audio for your own enjoyment and amusement, but I'm not for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't want to. Number two, I'm not allowed to, because Fox News declared that of the 2 hours of debate that occurred last night, that other companies and corporations are only legally allowed to play 3 minutes per something. I don't know if it's per day, per station, per show. I don't want to take any risks on this. And, Mandis played some this morning. He soaked it all up. Hand got the leftovers, and so I'm left with nothing. I'm going to blame Mandis.
They did you a favor.
They did all of us a favor. I mean, I don't want to spoil your lunch with you having to listen to Chris Christie spew out that garbage, or Hutchinson, or a lot of them on stage for that matter. A couple of observations, though. Ron DeSantis, and by the way, I'm open for conversation regarding winners and losers on the debate stage last evening. If you want to go that route, I don't declare that. I just observe and tell you who I'm drawn to and who I'm not drawn to, okay? I thought Ron DeSantis came out too hot. He seemed all jacked up, and it was almost a little unnatural. I thought he calmed it down, mid-debate, and he was who we thought he was. Ron DeSantis was not the target of attacks as expected last night. That went to Vivek Ramaswamy. Christie attacked Ramaswamy. Pence attacked Ramaswamy. Haley attacked Ramaswamy. Not DeSantis, which I think turned out to be good for both of those candidates. DeSantis comes off looking above it and looking like the second-place guy that he is. And Ramaswamy elevates his profile in the process by going after it hammer and tongs with everybody else on the debate stage and giving it right back to them. The one person that distinguished themselves the most, in other words, the guy or gal that stood out the most in terms of their political positions and were as blunt as can be, is none other than Vivek Ramaswamy. It is impossible not to consider him, if you were going to, a winner in the outcome of the election, regardless of whether you liked what he had to say or not, because the goal is to raise and elevate your profile and get you on the top tier, at least the top tier not named Donald J. Trump, because I think it's Donald Trump and everybody else. You can tier the rest of the Republican candidates, but it was pretty obvious who the big winner is, and if I had to declare one, it was Donald Trump. Not because Tucker and Trump have gotten like 200 million views. I think you're comparing apples and oranges when you compare television views and internet hits. And the reason that I say that, and I'm not diminishing the impressive nature of what Tucker and Trump did last night when I say that, but I know take me as an example. I went to Tucker and Trump at 8:55. I guess that was 7:55, 8:55 Eastern time. Yes, 7:55. And at 7:50, they launched 5 minutes before the debate started. So I started watching Tucker and Trump. I watched the first 5 or 6 minutes of Tucker and Trump until the debate got started, and I turned it off. When the debate went to a break, every time the debate went to a break, I went back to Tucker and Trump. So I accounted during the debate for like 7 views, 8 views alone. So to say that you're not talking about 150 million people or 200 million people, you're talking about 200 million impressions, which is different from viewership on a network like Fox News. I'm not defending Fox, I'm just telling you. But Donald Trump was the clear winner. Donald Trump had a great sit-down interview with Tucker Carlson. I've watched all 46 minutes of it or so. We can analyze that as well. Vivek established himself as a top tier in the other category. People that don't need to be on stage anymore. Obviously, Asia Hutchinson, you need to go get that eye looked at, buddy. Chris Christie is comic relief at this point, and he will be there until such time as either his money runs out or he gets to be on stage with Donald Trump and he gets to scream and yell at Donald Trump. I thought Vivek had a great comeback line because he's like, Chris Christie said, you don't need to be on this stage. You're just too young and naive and, you blah, blah, blah. He's like, I find it funny that you would say this to me because the only reason that you're on stage is because you're angry and you're disgruntled and you're mad at somebody, and that guy is Donald Trump, which is true because Trump did not give Chris Christie an entitlement position in his cabinet after Chris Christie demonstrated fealty to Donald Trump during the 2016 election cycle. So haters are going to hate. So if you're more of an establishment candidate, if you're more of a war hawk like a Mike Pence or a Nikki Haley, you're going to hate Ramaswamy's position because Ramaswamy's foreign policy position you'll declare is naive and hopelessly rookie and whatever. If you're predisposed to not liking DeSantis, well, DeSantis haters are going to hate. DeSantis lovers are going to love. I hear a lot of people saying that Nikki Haley did well. I did not think that Nikki Haley did well, and that is mostly the foreign policy initiatives and the presentation. I think she came off as rather sing-songy. So that's my initial analysis of the situation. Yours, 615-737-9986. 737-WWTN, either via phone or super text. Back in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, Mill Creek View is a wonderful podcast that originates right out of Franklin, Tennessee, and I'm so proud to be able to tell you about it. You've heard Steve Abramowitz on my show. You've heard me on his podcast. Now it's time to avail yourself of the rest of the podcast. You can get arts and authors, culture, entertainment, sports, and politics all in one convenient location. They're frequently the number one podcast on Podomatic and can be really found on any podcast platform of your choosing: Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Deezer, all of your favorite podcast apps, and Rumble as well. If you can't get enough of Mill Creek View, Tennessee, did you know that Steve does other Mill Creek View presentations like Mill Creek View, Washington, Mill Creek View, Florida coming? Steve is the CEO and editor-in-chief of the Mill Creek View newspaper as well, which is a resource that I'd utilize to prep for this show. mcview.us is the website. So I encourage you to check him out and make sure you click subscribe so you never miss an episode to the wonderful Mill Creek View, Tennessee podcast. Always interesting and informative. It's Mill Creek View. I love and appreciate law enforcement in our local community and around the United States of America, and so does Stokes Nielsen. And now it's time to show our appreciation in a real way. Stokes has started a law enforcement appreciation concert series, and he's bringing that series to Nashville, Tennessee. He's done 7 of these since 2021, and sadly, due to the nature of some of the security of the jobs that some law enforcement are doing, they cannot open the event to the public. It remains closed to the public. They're produced and performed to show groups of law enforcement the appreciation that they deserve. I mean, some of these guys are undercover and whatnot. That said, you have the opportunity to show your appreciation, and we're asking of you. So I want you to think about your church group or maybe a Sunday school group or maybe your family. You can make a poster showing your appreciation for law enforcement that they will hang in the facility. We'll take some pictures of them so that we can show them off on social media and whatnot. And then each officer at the event will get to take one of these posters home. We need your help. We need a minimum of 200 posters. Would love 250. It's the 7th Law Enforcement Appreciation Concert since 2021, and it's right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Show them your love and support through signs of encouragement and thank yous. Go to signvolunteer997@gmail.com. That's signvolunteer997@gmail.com, and email Stokes directly for more information. It's the Law Enforcement Appreciation Concert. All right, here we are. Here we go. It is the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So if you watch, you have your own ideas. You bring your own ideas with you to watch the debate party. I'm curious how many of you watched and what you thought about it, but I'm not telling you who won, who lost, because like I say, and I don't begrudge people that do. Don't get me wrong. I'm predisposed not to like Nikki Haley. I'm predisposed not to care about Mike Pence with regard to his foreign policy. So I have no idea how anybody could say Nikki Haley won the debate, but a lot of people are saying Nikki Haley won the debate. So in that regard, it's very subjective. But we will talk about some of the subject matters that came up, particularly on the abortion front, and I'll do that right after the break. Sharon is next up on the show. Hey, Sharon, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great, Sharon.
Good. A comment and a question. First of all, the comment, I am so tired of Carmela's laughter and Biden's sheepish grin. Why would I want a president that laughs just like Camilla? Second, I would have answered this Vic guy when he wanted to defund Israel. I would have said, should we defund India? We give them over $500 million a year, and they spent $750 million to go to the moon. That doesn't make sense to me. That's all I have to say. I love your show. Have a wonderful day.
Well, thank you, Ms. Sharon. I appreciate the call, and I appreciate the comments. Thank you. It's 12:31. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back after this. You know, it's coming up. Before you know it, the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project annual event will be here. It's coming in September. It's a good way to remind you about the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project more broadly. Charlie and David Corlew and others put together the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project because they recognized that veterans, heroes, were coming home and were unable to fully reintegrate themselves from service into civilian life in a variety of ways. Some of these service members have physical limitations, others mental limitations. Everyone has a unique story and unique set of circumstances that they need assistance in tackling. That's where the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project comes in. You know, on average, 22 veterans a day, 22 a day, are committing suicide, and it is a sad reality that we need to do everything in our power to support those that defend the freedoms and liberties that we love in the United States of America. And that's what the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project is all about. I strongly encourage you to give today. Go to the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project.org to find out more information. That's the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project.org. And you can find out more about the Charlie Daniels Patriot Awards Dinner that's upcoming a little bit later on in the month of September. It's the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the Matt Murphy Show in progress. Thank you so much. You're my lunch bunch, and I appreciate you. Whether you're at lunch right now, at your desk, at your office, your place of business, your home, your automobile, we thank you for listening. Spend as much time with us as you possibly can. I do appreciate it. We're here till 3 o'clock, The Drive with Brian Wilson. At that time, hey, Belle, what are you doing tonight? Same thing you do every night?
No, I feel like I'm supposed to do something. I can't remember what it is.
So I was told, and I'm not against this necessarily, I'll go kicking and screaming and then eventually say that I enjoy it.
Oh, yeah, I know what. Yeah, it's just what you just stop arguing with her. Don't.
I'm not arguing with her.
No, you're.
I'm not arguing with anybody.
You're pushing back, and you need to just let it happen.
Well, it's going to be 180 million degrees outside.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's 200 million degrees.
By the way,
she's your wife.
I love the super texters. I've got super texters telling me what the real feels temperature is. I hate you. I hate all of you.
He loves you.
I hate you.
He loves you.
That's
it's Thursday
almost,
Eve.
It's almost. It's not Thursday Eve. It's Thursday.
Oh, that's right. Friday Eve. My bad.
No, it's post Wednesday.
That works too.
I mean, it's a perfect. There's only 7 of them: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Look, I've met your wife. She's a wonderful lady, and you should be thankful that you have the privilege of going out to the fair with her.
You should go with us.
No, that's a date night thing, and the fact that you can't recognize that is a little off-putting.
I got to tell you, I got a big week. My birthday's on the 1st. I will not be here next Friday, but it was a pre-scheduled time off. I'm taking a little motorcycle trip with my brother starting not this weekend, but next weekend. And so taking the birthday off and then the week of Labor Day off. And, yes, that's the one time that I'll take a full week off for the entire year. And for those of you that think I did it in July, I didn't. I was subbing in for it. Anyway, so bottom line is this. Tonight, the fair. The Wilson County, Tennessee State Fair.
But it's not as much about the fair as it is date night.
Have you ever been married 20 years?
No, hell no.
Okay, then. It's about the fair.
It's about date night.
Okay. Well, you should bring you should bring a date and we'll go.
I stand firmly in Erica's corner on this.
Well, I don't know. You know what convinced me to go? Or convinced me to
the fact that you're smart enough to make sure your wife
with a
is
smile
happy
on my face is the prospect of a turkey leg. I don't know that there are turkey legs out there, but E promised that there were turkey legs, and I can eat turkey.
That sounds like a Renaissance fair kind of thing.
I understand that, but I'm thinking at a fair of this size and stature, we should have some turkey legs out there, right?
Funnel cake.
No, I'm not having any funnel cake.
Don't you wish you could, though?
No. Look, I've already been called Fatty Matty on the super text line today.
That's not fair. You've lost a lot of weight.
I've lost almost 30 pounds.
Almost, yeah.
So yeah, I'm still Fatty Matty. I'm just less Fatty Matty.
I don't think that's fair to call you that.
Well, I mean, fair. I mean, if you want fair, the fair's out in Wilson County. That's the point that I'm trying to make is that we're going out to the fairgrounds today. So you'll see me. I'll be the guy in the hat. So come out and see us and say hello. And then tomorrow night, a big pregame show, our big pregame football contest with the New England Patriots coming into town to take on the Tennessee Titans. And I'll be out there. I'll be the guy in the hat. So just say hey to me.
Just for the record, I'll have one of your birthday presents before you leave, but I may not have the second one until you get back.
Okay, that's fine. You don't have to give me anything.
Oh, it's too late for that.
Well, I'm not asking
it's
for
already
it.
been ordered.
Well, I'll tell you that
if you had asked, I probably would have been like you. But I'm not going to get you one now. But since
I still can't wait for your last present to come in for you to see it. It should be here like tomorrow, I think.
Now, are you making that up?
No, there's one more coming.
All right.
There's one more coming. But all of this leads, the only reason I'm telling you any of this, all of this leads up to the big garage sale that I'm going to be a part of Saturday. I have some friends who live out there like across from Cheekwood in that part of town. I don't know what you would call that on 100.
Cheekwood?
It's Cheekwood, right?
Cheekwood, yeah.
Well, it's across the street from Cheekwood. Anyway, I'm looking right now at the address. You guys need to write this down because this is a big-time yard sale. It's on Valley Trace Drive in the Harpeth something or another subdivision. I don't know where. I don't know if I've got that name right. Anyway, this is a shameless plug that I'm going to be a part of a yard sale, and I'm going to be selling my personal items at the yard sale. And anyone that wants to come by and buy something personally used by me, you can do so. And if you want me to autograph it, I'll give you an extra $2 off of the item, whatever item it is.
Wow, that's gone up 100% since we discussed it before the show.
$2. I thought that $1 wasn't enough, so I'm going $2.
Are you going to sell the little, not macrame, the little stitch sign in the guest bathroom?
No, the one that says, please don't do cocaine in the bathroom?
I would love to have that.
No, I would never sell that.
Okay.
We have a little cross-stitch framed sign in our guest bathroom that says, please don't do cocaine in the bathroom.
Broke that rule. Just kidding.
That's why you didn't eat. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about this now, except to say that 1476 says nobody wants your junk. Thank you, 1476, for your contribution to the show. Little humor never hurt anybody. Okay, federalizing abortion bans. It was a topic of discussion last night. Nikki Haley was actually somewhat of a voice of reason on this, in as much as it is a difficult task to see this passed on the federal level. Here's my take on it, and I know that this will run counter to many of you, and I'm aware of that, and that's okay. I long argued from a constitutional perspective that Roe v. Wade was wrongly decided. Many of us did, because it was not a matter for the federal government to determine. The Constitution and the federal government itself was created by the states. And the states created Frankenstein's monster and allowed Frankenstein's monster to reign supreme over the laws of the states only in as much as was laid down in the Constitution. Is that clear? So the states create the federal government, and the states themselves say these are the rights of the people in the Bill of Rights, but this is the authority presented to and recognized by the federal government. Outside of this, and they write it down in the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, outside of these things, these items that we write down, these matters of importance to the federal government, and these rules and regulations that the federal government has oversight regarding, outside of these things, the other items, the other matters that come before the American people are to be left to the states and to the people respectively. So for those of you who have now flipped the argument, now that Roe v. Wade is in the trash heap of history where it should have always been, I would argue to you that it is left to the states respectively to make their own individual determinations regarding where they are on abortion. Do I think it's an abomination that at 7 states, for those of you who don't know, 7 states allow abortion up until the moment of birth with no restrictions? 3rd trimester abortions, no problem. Is that an abomination? It certainly is. Will those that engage in that type of behavior have to be held to account to a higher power than even the federal government? Yes, obviously they will. But if you want to federalize this matter from a constitutional standpoint, from a constructionist standpoint, I suggest to you that you have to pass an amendment. Because the Constitution, I've argued for 24 years the Constitution doesn't say anything about abortion. Nor does it delve into the matter of, quote, privacy between a woman and her doctor, which was always the flimsy excuse behind Roe v. Wade. So when I hear my Republican friends on the stage last night discussing the matter of abortion and discussing it in a way that they would present a 6-week federal ban, I'm wondering where were you a year ago or 2 years ago? Because a year ago or 2 years ago, most of these same people were arguing that it should be left up to the states respectively with regard to where they are on a, quote, woman's right to choose. This is not a position that is pro-abortion. I am against abortion. It is a position that is pro-Constitution, and I am most certainly pro-Constitution. The Constitution matters and means something. And in far too many arenas, the federal government has overextended itself in terms of its responsibility and its right to limit the states from making decisions about their own futures and the people making decisions about their own future. Jen Psaki, the former spokesperson for Joe Biden in the Biden administration, an administration that, by the way, supports abortion until birth, Jen Psaki said last night, no one supports abortion up until birth. Really? Well, that's a lie. It's a lie in as much as it's legal to engage in abortion until birth in 7 different states, including in Colorado, New Mexico, Oregon, Minnesota. Let me see if I can remember them all. It's Colorado, New Mexico, Oregon, Minnesota, Delaware, Alaska, and I'm missing one. So I understand the emotional nature of this issue, and I understand trampolining off of the victory that was the Supreme Court ruling, Dobbs v. Jackson. Many who care about this issue deeply want to take it a step further, but I would suggest that you do so in a constitutional way. And I would agree with Nikki Haley, that's a heavier lift than many of you want to recognize. For me, it's a constitutional amendment lift, and that is quite heavy. Otherwise, we can vote with our feet. Now, I understand that this argument is not going to sit well with some of my pro-life friends who would suggest that it's somehow weak on the issue of abortion. I assure you it is not. But if you're going to make the argument contrary to mine that there should be a federal regulation or a federal ban or a federal restriction against the judgment of the states and the people, then I would argue 2 things. One, that's not a constructionist argument unless you're willing to go all in and tell me that you want a constitutional amendment. I understand what the stakes are, and I want to eliminate abortion for a lack of individuals trying to get them in those individual states that still allow abortion until birth. That's my very strong argument. What's yours? 615-737-9986. 737-9986 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, The Matt Murphy Show, 1256. John Rich, country music superstar, will join us coming up in the next few minutes. I think 1:05 is our scheduled time. He's got a new song out from his new album. The song is called I'm Offended. Just to give you a little piece of this in anticipation of our conversation with John Rich, just listen to a little of this song. Go. I like it. Well, John Rich, I'm Offended.
Little Patriot Mobile cap.
Yeah, I like that. And the other guy had a T-shirt on that says "Woke Mobile," I think it was, and they're arm wrestling, and the Woke Cellular. It says Woke Cellular, and he's arm wrestling with a guy with a Patriot Mobile cap on, which I particularly love. Do you have in front of you? I can't find it. In front of you, the name of the album or the collection of, I mean, it's number one. I could probably look it up on social media because John was texting about it or tweeting about it.
The Country Truth.
The Country Truth. And we'll have John Rich coming up in just a couple of minutes. And not only will we speak to him about his new song, we'll ask him his thoughts on Oliver Anthony. I think he's got a couple of thoughts on that. That song, Richmond North of Richmond, is an absolute juggernaut on the iTunes charts right now. And just in general, the spirit of the world, and maybe if he watched the debates last night. You still got that pulled up, or did you kill it?
Yeah.
I want to listen to a little more of it.
Well, we're about to have to go to break.
Oh.
Those things don't mix well.
That's not fun.
I'm sorry.
You're no fun.
I know.
Thank you for your suggestions, by the way, on how to get the best way to get to the fair tonight. I'm being told that I should bus over because parking is a nightmare. Also, I'll have an address for those of you who want to come to our yard sale. We'll have an address. We're having a big yard sale over there across from Cheekwood Botanical Gardens and whatnot on 100. Is it like Harpeth Hills or something like that? Harpeth Trace or something like that? John Rich is on the way next on The Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Fellas, I know one thing about us. We don't like to check our numbers. We kind of like to whistle past the graveyard when it comes to medical things. Well, you can't do that once you reach a certain age, and Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help you. If you're feeling low energy, sluggish, and you don't know why, and you're just chalking it up to middle age, heck, I'm about to be 50, and I feel your pain. Tennessee Men's Clinic wants to check a few numbers, and it's a very simple procedure. You go to Tennessee Men's Clinic. For less than $100, they'll get you in there. They'll get you checked out. They'll get a little blood work done, and then they'll check some of those numbers, like your T level. You know, naturally, the T levels have gone down in men over the last 40 years for a variety of different reasons, and if you're one of those men, you need to get those back up to where they should be. That'll get that energy level back going again. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com for more information. They've got plenty over there at the website, TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, or give them a call. 2 locations to serve you. One's in Cool Springs, Franklin. The other, Midtown, Nashville. Tennessee Men's Clinic, 615-208-9090. 208-9090. All right, here we go. It's hour number 2 of the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm just about debated out, although I might ask my next guest if he happened to tune in. I know I was bouncing back and forth between the also-rans on the stage last night and the man, Donald Trump, as he was sitting down with Tucker Carlson. That was presented simultaneous. We'll continue that discussion and take your telephone calls on it in just a moment. It is a recurring theme that we discuss the culture wars and the wokeness that seems to be prevailing across all variety of platforms, entertainment and otherwise, nowadays. To speak to that matter, but most importantly, to speak to his brand new song, Jump It Out There. Get out there. I love this song. Yeah. You know, country music megastar John Rich joins us on the Matt Murphy Show. And, John, my first question is, where'd you get those fabulous overalls? I love those.
Oh, man, you know, Home Depot, Walmart, wherever. I wanted to go straight up hee-haw, man, in that video because the song is funny and the subject is hilarious. So I'm an old fan of the hee-haw show, man. I kind of went there.
I thought of the Blues Brothers with that chicken wire you had in front of you while you were singing. You know,
yeah, you know, it was definitely a throwback kind of a vibe. And again, I look around our country like you do, and there's nothing funny happening at all. I mean, quite the opposite. And I thought, well, you know, it is pretty absurd how everybody's just offended all the time about everything. Maybe I wonder what Roger Miller would say in 2023. That's one of my favorite country artists. See if I can channel Roger Miller for a minute. So wrote this funny song, I'm Offended, and right now it is the #1 most downloaded record. It's on a record called The Country Truth. So it's a 10-song record. #1 downloaded record in all of country music, and it's contending, well, no, tonight at midnight for the #1 spot overall in all genres. It's going between 1 and 2 back and forth. So we'll see what happens, man. But I'm pretty shocked, honestly, by it, about the support that I've been getting, and very grateful for it.
Well, one of the things I wanted to do when we had you on was to thank you, because a dose of humor is so much needed right now. I mean, you're right that it doesn't seem like we can sit down even with those that we might disagree with. And you referenced this in a line in the song, that you can be left and I'll be right. You know, we can't sit down and just kind of agree to disagree and move on with our lives. We got to yell and cuss and fight and scream at one another nowadays. And, you know, sit back and laugh a little bit, John. I appreciate the song in that regard.
Yeah, that's what it's about. I mean, I've got a lot of friends that I totally disagree with on basically everything. I'm friends with some of the big comedians. You know, there's one guy in particular, a big comedian, who's a Bernie Sanders guy. I mean, that's how left he is. And he'll come over to the house when he comes to Nashville, and we'll hang out, have a cocktail, talk about what's going on, and there's never a cross word, you know, and we're totally aware that we completely disagree. I wish Americans could find that again, and that's what the song's all about.
There's a lot of hidden gems in the video, too, and I encourage people to go to YouTube or wherever and download the I'm Offended video. You'll see a lot of the things that would offend the normal, you know, class of folks out there. You got a little person trying to get in the bar. I like that. I love, I'm a big fan of Patriot Mobile, and I talk about Patriot Mobile all the time, and I'm proud that you're a fan of Patriot Mobile. I noticed that was also in the video, John.
Yeah, I had some great Patriot companies like that stepped in and wanted to have their stuff in the video. I said, you bet. So Patriot Mobile's there. Old Glory Bank is in there. Mike Lindell makes an interest. He makes an entrance into the Redneck Riviera wearing a referee uniform, blowing a whistle as all these girls are getting into a cat fight. I mean, it's pretty hilarious.
I thought for a second at the end of the video that we would eventually have feathers going, but then I realized Lindell would never. He doesn't produce pillows that bust, so we couldn't have any feathers because Mike Lindell's My Pillows never bust, right?
Well, it would have been his patented filling would have been what's flying around,
That's right.
as he likes to say, my patented filling. Yeah, he's a good sport, man. Listen, a lot of I don't have a record deal. I don't have a publishing deal. I don't have a marketing company or marketing budgets. This is really an independent guy, me, recording these songs and writing these songs and putting them out, and then people responding to them. And you look on the chart, and that's how we kind of gauge how well something's doing. And it's sitting at number one of all country records out right now, number one and number two or one in all genres. So the rappers, the urban music, the rockers, the pop singers. It's incredible. I think it's actually a really good sign for the culture war, which you were talking about earlier, that independent people can still succeed out here without the industries.
And it says a lot that you're doing this independent of having to take. I don't know how the system works, John. You obviously know better about that than I do. But how much do the record companies deliver marching orders to the creative artists out there in Nashville and beyond?
Well, the only time they deliver marching orders is if you are singing something or saying something that they don't agree with. And if you do that, you get your marching orders. I made this comparison last week when Oliver Anthony came out. Oliver and I have been talking on the phone about every other day since his single Richmond North of Richmond came out. And this is a fact. If that guy would have had a record deal and then he walked in there and said, hey, here's a song I want for my new record, it's called Richmond North of Richmond, none of us would have ever heard it. That is a fact. There's no way the music industry would let that song ever be exposed at all. And so staying independent as an artist is key right now. I mean, if you really want to say what you want to say, you're going to have to forego the industry. You're going to have to go out there on your own and connect with the people on your own, just like he did, just like I'm doing, and I hope others follow suit.
John, as much success as you have had in this industry and really multiple different genres, what can you tell us about the advice that you offered Oliver? Because that level of fame that comes to you that quickly for someone like that, I imagine that it is a little overwhelming. What wisdom did you offer him?
So, the first time I talked to him, we talked for almost an hour. And I will tell you this, at the end of the phone call, he said, hey, John, before we hang up, you mind if I just pray for a minute? I said,
wow.
Absolutely. So he prayed, and then I prayed for him. I prayed that God would give him discernment, wisdom, and peace as he walks into this firestorm. And so since that phone call, we had one, and I said, man, I heard you turned down an $8 million deal. He goes, I sure did. I said, why'd you do that? He says, because I don't want their dirty money in my bank account. Wow. I mean, are you serious? I mean, who has that level of conviction and constitution about him? This guy's a rare individual. He's an important voice, I think, now and going forward. I hope he stays completely independent and never takes orders from anybody.
Well, I love the fact that you produced this album independent of any marching orders as well. You've always lived your life that way. You kind of walk to the beat of your own drummer. What do you make of, I mean, you dip your toe when you want. I mean, on Twitter, man, you're all in the political world. What do you make of where we are? A lot of people want to know what John Rich thinks of where we are from a political perspective right now and in this woke world of culture war.
Well, I mean, I don't think my opinion is more valuable than anybody else's, but here's what I think. I think Americans en masse, whether they're left, right, or middle, are awakening around this country by the tens of millions to the fact that they've been lied to their entire lives. They've been manipulated. They've been marketed to death. They are now seeing this thing unravel. You know, a lot of the web of lies that we've been surrounded with our whole lives is starting to come unraveled. So when they see, whether it's a politician or a movie or music or any kind of content where they believe they're being told the truth, they go running straight towards it. We can handle the truth in this country. We can handle the truth about the Nashville Manifesto. We can handle the truth about the Las Vegas shooting. We can handle the truth about where did COVID come from. We can handle the truth about all these things. And people want the truth. And I'm one of them. I also want the truth. Tell me what is going on in my country for real. Tell me once and for all, what are we actually looking at here? So I think when this kind of content, whether it's my record or Oliver Anthony or it's Sound of Freedom, the movie, whatever it is, or if it's Donald Trump laying it out going, hey, here's what's going on, you know, you can always see who's telling the truth based on who's attacking them. You know, when you see the establishment begin to attack somebody specifically, you go, well, now I like them even more, because if the establishment's coming after them, they must be speaking the truth. It's a pathetic thing to come to grips with, but it's also important to come to grips with it, that is really what you're looking at. And I think that is going to spell out who wins and loses in this next race to be president of our country.
Well, you know, you inspire me. My grandfather used to say, he's a good old country boy, and he used to say, hit dog barks. And I didn't understand it for a long time. I was like, what are you talking about, Pa? And he said, you throw a rock in a pack of dogs, the one that gets hit's the one that's going to bark at you or howl at you. Mm-hmm. And so if you throw a rock, the dog that gets hit, or in this case, the politician that gets hit, there's the ones that are going to be screaming the loudest. Yeah,
you're exactly right. And it is becoming, again, more clear by the day. Listen, I'm a country singer, country songwriter. I'm not out here going to change the world with anything, but I do think it is important to see that the general public in our country is shifting away from the programming. They're shifting away from the narratives, from the brainwashing that we've all been victims of this entire time. And they're finding things that they think are the real McCoys, whether it's me, Oliver Anthony, Al Dean, Sound of Freedom. I keep going back to that movie. Or politicians that really just speak from the gut and they don't really care who gets upset about it. We're Americans, man. It's not our job to make everybody happy. If the founding fathers had the same attitude as a lot of Americans right now, we'd have never had a country in the first place. We are the ones that step out in the fray and call a spade and say, you know what? It's okay if you don't like it. This is where we stand. And I hope Americans get back to that.
You know, you say that you're a songwriter, and you are, and a singer, and you are, and a country music megastar, and obviously you are. But John, you're a strong voice on social media as well in terms of commenting on stuff that's going on around us. I'm curious if you've ever once thought about dipping your toe into those political waters.
Man, I've been asked by a lot of people, especially recently, watching how Governor Lee is handling things in this state. And I said, you know what, my focus is raising my two sons. They're 11 and 13. And I would never forgive myself if I traded my boys' teenage years to hang out with a bunch of politicians in Nashville, Tennessee. No, thank you. I have no desire to do that anytime soon, or maybe ever. But I will tell you, when you see things going on, listen, we had a bill in 1944 that was going to basically criminalize pornography in elementary schools. And the House Republicans put it together, and by the time it got to the governor's office and all the committees, they completely neutered that bill, kicked it to summer study, and nothing ever happened. Well, guess what? That same bill and that same point of that bill made its way down to Texas and Louisiana, and it's now law in those two states, but it's not law in Tennessee. Not law in Tennessee. And now I see what's going on with the red flag stuff. It's just a mess in this state, and we need people that are willing to stand up and call it out. Even if it's the party that you pretty much vote for, that doesn't mean they're all right. It doesn't mean they're all good guys. We got to call them out as citizens and hold them to account.
Well, I appreciate you, even if you're not considering running, and I think that's a smart call. You're sending some good guys over here, supporting some good guys that are coming over to Nashville. Jody Barrett has done a pretty good job from out there Dixon way. It was an honor to meet you during one of his campaign events, and I think he's one of the good representatives in Nashville. Do you feel like your old friend's doing a good job?
He's doing a great job. He is in the middle of this mess, and he's realizing how big of a mess it is. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a guy I've known since I was 17 years old. I mean, we graduated Dixon County High School together. I went there my senior year. And so he's in there. He wants to make a difference for real. And I think he is. I think people are actually starting to look at him and listen to him a little bit more. We need more people like that. Jody did not want to run for office. He was trying to find somebody else to run for office that he could support. And there was really nobody that could really handle that job at that moment. So he goes, you know what, I guess I'm just going to have to do it. Which, by the way, that goes back to the original sentiment of the original politicians of America back in the 1700s. George Washington did not want to be the president. He's like, pick anybody. I do not want to do this. But Mr. Washington, you have to. General Washington, you have to. And so he finally did it. And the statement from back in the day, John Adams said, only people that detest politics should run for public office.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, here's the real question. Do you really watch Antiques Roadshow to go to bed? Because I do. I do. It's a fab.
Oh yeah, man. It's like, some old lady, she goes, I've had this mirror since 1950 and my great grandmother. And I'm like, wow, I wonder where that mirror came from. Next thing I know, it's time to get up and go to work. It knocks me out every time.
I love it when the people, I don't mean to get off on a rabbit trail, but when you can tell by their faces when the folks it's not worth what they think it ought to be worth, and they kind of just keep smiling and just kind of stare straight ahead.
Okay.
All right. Okay. $500. Yeah. Okay. That's great. That's great. I thought it was worth.
But then there's this Vietnam vet with an old Rolex he bought when he was in the war and never wore it, and the sucker's worth $700,000. So I'm like, all right. Makes you want to go dig through your closet.
Well, did you trade Antiques Roadshow for the debate last night?
I did not. I watched Donald Trump with Tucker. It looks like he is at 226 million views on Twitter right now. So I think that was a master stroke, man. Let them all hash it out. Honestly, it was good for those other candidates. Let them all talk without Trump there. Give them all the time they want. And then Trump goes over and goes, well, I'll see if anybody will watch me on Twitter. How about 226 million as of right now?
Well,
incredible.
I'll tell you, I was in the camp of I thought Trump should show just for the American people, not for the rest of the people on camera. And when I came on air today, I was like, I was sorry, I was wrong. Donald was right, I was wrong. Let the kids fight it out over the kiddie table, and when they narrow the field a little bit, when they figure out who wants to take on the man, then the man will show up for a debate.
Yeah, I think it was a smart move, and he is his own man. He's going to do it like he sees it. So obviously, 226 million. I think that's double who watches the Super Bowl. So. I mean, it's hard to poke a hole in that theory.
So the album, do we still call it album? You call it a record?
I still call it that, but I'm old school. It's called The Country Truth. If you go to iTunes, it's right there on the country chart on iTunes. It's #1. That's 10 songs. I'm Offended's on there. I put Earth to God and Progress are also on there, and then a bunch of new songs. So go get it, man. I would love to be #1 all genres. That is a really tough thing to get. It's hard to get it in country too. But it's really tough in all genres. So if you don't have it and you want to help me out and support it and get some good music, go download The Country Truth.
Support a great American in John Rich. I'm Offended is the single. The Country Truth is the album. And, John, thank you so much for your time. Anytime you want some radio time, you're welcome on the Matt Murphy Show, my friend.
Well, very kind of you. Y'all have a great afternoon.
All right, you do too. There's John Rich. Thank you so much for being with us for a good 15, 20 minutes. It's 122 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. We were just talking about Patriot Mobile. You watch the I'm Offended video with John Rich, and you'll see Patriot Mobile is right there because Patriot Mobile believes in the values presented in the video. They believe in the values that you and I believe in, talking about the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the right to life, the sanctity of life. All of these things are valued by Patriot Mobile, and they recognize that right now many of you might feel bound in a contract with a big woke mobile company with nothing to do about it because, well, you got to have a cell phone, right? Well, what if I told you with Patriot Mobile, you don't have to trade in your phone. You don't have to trade in your phone number. They are 100% U.S.-based in the United States of America. They have a customer service team ready for you, and you will switch. It's so easy. You just switch over. You really don't even notice it, and you keep your phone, you keep your number, and you keep the same great coverage. Ask about their coverage guarantee when you go to free activation with the offer code Murphy when you call 878-PATRIOT. That's 878-PATRIOT. PatriotMobile.com/Murphy. PatriotMobile.com/Murphy. Murphy and see that beautiful hat from Patriot Mobile in the John Rich tune, I'm Offended. It's Patriot Mobile/Murphy. This song here on the album, Country Truth as well, right? This come from the album?
Yeah, I think this is the next single.
My poor attempt at humor. 126, Super Talk 99.7, WTN. Thanks again to the great John Rich for the conversation. John's got his new single out, I'm Offended, which is streaking up the I can't wrap my head around. I'm old school, so I have a difficult time wrapping my head around the idea of the iTunes charts or whatever they are. But Bell, I lean on you when it comes to music, right? I mean, it used to be, did they not sample actual radio stations back in the day to get the Hot 100 and whatnot?
Yeah, for a while they did. There was a company that did it through a computer that would listen for songs. That company went away, and there's still another company that does it by actually having live people listening to specific radio stations and noting what they're playing.
Right, because there's a difference between sales and play.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about are downloads now.
Or streams.
And I guess you combine those things to figure it out. But
yeah,
the country truth.
A download is considered a sale. X number of streams equates to a sale. A
stream is obviously
spin.
a play.
I should
Sure.
say a spin. And then, of course, if a radio station plays it, that's considered a play, too.
It's got a good, it's got a good bouncy thing. I like the fact that Rich compared it to, I had not thought of the Roger Miller comparison, but Roger Miller was the master of these weren't parody songs that Miller used to do, like King of the Road and these types of things. But they were just fun. They were light. They were snappy. They oftentimes had catchy little, lyrics. And that's what I compared this to. I think that's a good
Miller's
comparison.
stuff was very cinematic in the way that he wrote it. It put a picture in your head.
Right.
And I didn't realize it. It struck me as soon as he said it. But, when he was talking about going full hee-haw, yeah, the overalls and the shirt, that was Grandpa Jones all the way.
There's no question. And the chicken wire, I think Rich got the reference, but in the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, they play behind chicken wire.
When they go to the and
it was like that in Roadhouse too. They had to play behind chicken wire.
But they asked Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd asked the bar owner, "What kind of music do you folks play here?" "Oh, we like all kinds, country and western." And so they played Well, they played Rawhide and Stand By Your Man. Like any country song that they knew.
But there are literally honky-tonks out there that had to erect chicken wire to protect the bands from the audience.
Well, yeah, I mean, but Roger Miller did. My grandmother loved Roger Miller. It was King of the Road, Dang Me, ought to take a rope and hang me from the high street. Chug a Lug was another Roger Miller song. England Swings Like the Pendulum Do.
I think King of the Road was probably his biggest hit, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be. If anybody knows of a bigger one, you can let me know. Anyway, good on John Rich for his release, and thank him for spending a little time with us today. 129, when we return, so we talked about the federalization of abortion bans and how I don't believe it's a constitutional issue. I'd love to hear from you on that subject. We've not talked much about Trump and Tucker. We'll get into that in just a moment and get your thoughts on it. I think far more people watched that than perhaps the debates, as John Rich did. Your thoughts on how Trump did. And he's obviously he's the man, unless something unforeseen happens. Was there anyone on stage, if you watch the debate, here's your question. Is there anyone on stage that you believe is a vice presidential candidate to run with Donald Trump? Anybody on stage? Anybody on stage not named Vivek? Because I think that's the obvious choice at this stage. It's 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the Matt Murphy Show in progress. Thank you for being around. 1:35, you're welcome to be a part of the show either via super text or on the telephone lines. I love talking with you on the phones. It's my favorite thing to do during our 3 hours together today. 615-737-9986, any day, really. 615-737-9986. Real quick, before I go to the phones, so if you rank them, we were talking with John Rich, and he said, I'm offended was kind of in the spirit of a Roger Miller tune, and Roger Miller was one of my grandma's favorites. We had King of the Road playing quite often on the old Zenith stereo. Was it a Zenith? I think it was a Zenith stereo. King of the Road was probably his number one hit. Dang Me, Green Little Apples. Did you know that Roger Miller, and I just remember this. I had heard
Little
this.
Green Apples?
Little Green Apples is a song. Roger Miller was the first guy to do Me and Bobby McGee.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Did not know that.
And obviously it's a Chris Christopherson song, but Roger Miller did it, and then eventually, got taken over by Janis Joplin. Do Wacka Do is another one of his kind of dang me type songs. And then You Can't Roller Skate in a Buffalo Herd, which is maybe my personal favorite.
That's not true. Yes, you can.
You cannot roller skate. Roger Miller said you can't roller skate in a Buffalo Herd. David is in Hendersonville to give his impression of the debate last evening. I thought the big winner was, Donald Trump. I'm not unique in that thought. David, what's on your mind?
Oh, man, you hit the nail on the head, bro. He absolutely was the winner of it. I didn't see anybody I would care to be or vice president. I think who he should ask to be a vice president, and I believe she would jump all over it, and that's Carrie Lake.
Yeah, I understand that she would. Carrie Lake is a possibility. I think, I could see that. I don't know. I don't know how much that would force focus, and I'm just saying this, David. And I'm not dismissing her, but would that force the focus back on the 2020 election too much? Because I think there's a healthy balance between recognizing what went on in 2020, but not solely focusing on 2020. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't know that it would or not. But I think that she would be. She's got the same womantality as President Trump. I think she's a go-getter, and she would just. I think she'd be as on his side. I think she would just maybe a force to reckon with.
Well, if I know Donald Trump the way I think I know Donald Trump, I am certain that at this stage in the proceedings, Carrie Lake is high up on the short list of potential VP candidates. I asked that question, and I'm getting a lot of answers on the super text line. Several of you, as a matter of fact, 2 in a row, 5281 and 9499 says Candace Owens for VP. I don't know. Candace Owens, who lives in Nashville, who's been invited on our radio show, who has not accepted an invitation on the radio show. I guess she's got better things to do. That's okay. But Candace Owens and Donald Trump kind of went after it a little bit, didn't they? What was it? What did they get at one another about? She had an interview with Trump, and there was something that they couldn't agree on, and it got kind of heated for a minute. And I don't remember what it was. But I know that she had Trump on, and that it was vaccines. That's exactly right. Thank you, 1585. Vaccines. I do believe that you would be served in potentially selecting a woman. But a couple of people on stage last night that I could see as a vice presidential choice. I don't know that the selection will come from the stage last night, but Vivek Ramaswamy is an obvious one because he has shown great fealty to Trump, and I think Tim Scott is another one.
I think Pence has it locked up.
You made me sneeze. I caught something with you saying that.
Well, he is the one guy that you know for certain is not going to be the vice president.
That's right. And in the midst of the debate last night, I'm seeing a bunch of people on social media, X and whatnot, saying, ooh, Mike Pence is having a great night. None of that matters. Nobody cares about Mike Pence's great night. And no one really cares about the trials and tribulations of his constitutional dilemma on January 6th, except that there are many people. I'm not even saying you're right. I'm on the record as saying that I do not believe that Mike Pence had the ability to, quote, stop the process. Now, there are other things that Mike Pence could have done to slow the process down, but eventually those electors were going to get counted. Sadly, the fix was already in.
Well, and even if you take all that stuff and set it to the side, the things he said about and to Trump since then don't demonstrate enough fealty for Trump to go, okay, you're back in the game.
No, but even for and I'm even considering the presidential candidacy of Mike Pence. Mike Pence tried to act tough. He tried to be the quote-unquote adult in the room. But 25% of the Republican Party at minimum, and it might even be greater than that, 25% of the Republican Party do not consider Mike Pence to be a human on the stage. They dismiss him as an empty vessel. And it's primarily because of what he did to Donald Trump on January 6th.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And so if you lose the MAGA base, you're going nowhere. You're going nowhere. Well, really, nobody's going anywhere when Donald Trump is in the room. Gail is next up with a thought on the abortion conversation. Gail, I'm glad you called in. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm very pro-life, but I appreciate the discussion about the abortion issue. And it is true that after 50 years of finally getting the Roe v. Wade back to the states where it belongs, like you said, Lindsey Graham stupidly proposed a bill to ban abortions on the federal level right before the last midterms. The Democrats were able to run with that and run all kinds of ads and say, see, the Republicans want to ban all the abortions. So he cost us Pennsylvania, Georgia, probably Utah, and Arizona. And if they keep trying to put it on the federal level, they'll just use it again in 2024. They need to leave it back to the states.
Well, Ms. Gale, I could not agree with you more. And I agree with your political assessment that I think we attract more flies with honey than with vinegar. My grandma used to say that.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I think that's one of the points that I agreed with Nikki Haley on, that if we continue to vilify people who are on the fence or are even more pro-abortion even, if we continue to vilify those folks instead of trying to lead them into our way of thinking with kindness, we're going to continue to lose. I agree, and thank you, Ms. Gale, for the call. I appreciate it, and I hope you call again anytime. I love that sweet voice. That's so nice. But I agree, and I know people don't want to hear it, but it cost us votes in 2022 in swing states. I believe that it cost us midterms in terms of numbers in the House and even maybe in the Senate. And you have to accept that there are people that are in their mid-20s, late 20s, early 30s, mid-30s, even into their 40s, especially women who look at this differently than you do, look at it differently than I do. We have to swing them to our way of thinking by convincing them that there are ways to manage your reproductive health that don't have anything to do with killing a life. And you do that in kindness, not in anger. And a federal ban, and I understand because I'm right there with you regarding the belief that certainly at some point you're killing a baby. Certainly at some point in the second trimester you're killing a viable life. It ought to be common sense that we eliminate the ability to get abortions from there, despite the fact that the Constitution says nothing about it. The 50 states should be able to collectively agree on that, especially in the modern era when you have so many different options to prevent pregnancy that don't have anything to do with abortion. But you convince people to that point through kindness, not through anger, through love, not through hate. And you have to bring them on board one at a time. And right now, the Democrats are able to demagogue that issue and inspire 20-somethings to go to the polls and vote on it. And I believe they did it in 2022. While many of us were taking a victory lap on Dobbs. 4676 says, I'm offended at how catchy I'm offended is. It is a catchy tune. He knows how to write one. How about, while we're circling back to that interview, how about John Rich is counseling Oliver Anthony? And John Rich, in doing so, couldn't believe that Oliver Anthony turned down an $8 million contract.
Well, it's just because most people in their right mind wouldn't do that.
Why do you think? I mean, I understand that it is fashionable to say, congratulations, Oliver Anthony. I mean, it's easy. It is so easy for Bell Kay and Matt Murphy to sit here and go, wow, what way to go, buddy. Good for you. If a record executive walked into that control room and threw an $8 million check down at you
and asked me to shoot you, you would be dead.
No, whoa, easy now.
All you got to do is just pull the trigger, Bell.
All you got to do.
Like, okay, sold.
And then write a song about it, and you're gold. I don't know that I could do it. I mean, kudos to him, and kudos for the reason that he stated he was doing it, that he was not interested in doing a tractor-trailer tour. He was not interested in getting in that grind. He's interested in writing good music for good people.
Well, and the points that you both brought up is that you're not just selling your music, you're selling your soul because you give up that control. Like John can put out whatever music he wants to now because he doesn't have to answer to anybody except his fan base.
You know, and record companies are very much like radio consultants. Often it is the case that radio consultants are individuals that did not make it in the industry, or they got to a point in the industry where they separated themselves from the actual production and creative value of the industry. And they decided that they would, quote unquote, tell people what works and what doesn't. Rush Limbaugh was repeatedly told in the late 1980s and early 1990s that what he was doing wasn't working. I'll give you another modern example in the sports field. Paul Feinbaum, who I knew back in Birmingham, Alabama. I worked in the same building as Feinbaum. He's a huge sports voice, for those who don't know, in the SEC. Feinbaum was repeatedly told by ESPN when he went over to ESPN that the way he conducted his radio show with various callers and whatnot would not work on a national scale. And it's worked like gangbusters. Consultants.
Well, it's like that old adage, you know, those that can do and those that can't join a teachers union.
Or a consulting firm. I always like to say that consultants, maybe record executives too, they're groups of people that they come into a room and they poop in a bunch of little piles, and then as they're leaving, they tell you, you know what your problem is? There's poop everywhere. That's a radio consultant. 148-615-737-9986. More calls coming up with Barb and Steven, and maybe you, and a special Thursday Mac attack. A pre-birthday Mac attack because
it's Friday Eve all day long on the Mac Murphy Show.
Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. It's a Thursday Mac attack or a Friday Mac attack on Thursday coming up at the 2 o'clock hour because Mac will not be here tomorrow. And tomorrow is his birthday. It's 1:49 on Super Talk. 35,000 square feet, 4 dedicated tactical shooting rooms, more Glock handguns than you could shake 20 or 30 or 40 sticks at, a huge selection of other firearms, accessories, ammos, and performance parts. Of course, I'm talking about the world-famous Glock store. There's no hard sell at the Glock store. They understand that as you walk through their doors, you have different levels of experience. Everyone's an individual. So you might be coming in having never held a handgun in your life, but you're deciding that you want to do something about your personal self-defense or the defense of your family, or you want to get into sports shooting. Whatever your reason, they have someone there that can walk you from one step to the next and help you select a gun for yourself and then get you the training that you need to understand how to use it. Or maybe you are a marksman. Maybe you've handled guns since your childhood and you've been doing it all of your life, but you want to improve just a little bit. They have shooting rooms available for you in the Shoot 270 ranges. They also have guns available for you, accessories available for you, and gunsmiths that can help install them. They do it all at the world-famous Glock store, better than anyone. It's the best Glock store or the best gun store, I should say, that I've ever been in, and I've been in a lot of them. It's the world-famous Glock store. Go to glockstore.com or shoot270.com for more information. And when you stop by on Airlane Drive, tell them Matt Murphy sent you. 156 Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Juggling a number of discussions. One, a topic that was brought up last night in the presidential debate, the Republican primary debate regarding abortion and whether or not it should be a federalized ban. Number two, discussing who might be a VP choice for the real winner last night, which was Donald Trump. Three, several of you cannot believe your ears that Matt Murphy is admitting that he was wrong about something. You got me some music? You got me a little, Murphy was wrong, Murphy, no? There we go. Oh, Murphy was wrong. Murphy was wrong. Trump was right. Cut it. So, yeah. Now, see, come on, Bell.
We can't use it the exact same way for wrong and right.
Yes, we can. It's the
if
Murphy
you're
was
wrong,
right.
it should just go on forever.
Well, then, all right, start it over then. Start it over. We'll start it over. Start it over. We'll start it over and we'll start it over. Ready? Go. Trumpy was right. Trumpy was right. Murphy was wrong. Cut. Is that better?
I guess.
Okay. I said Donald Trump should debate last night, and 20 minutes into the debate, I said Donald Trump made the right decision. Let the youngsters fight it out at the kiddie table, and when you want the real master of the retort, the real master of the craft, I mean, Chris Christie got nothing on Trumpy Trump. And so when Trumpy Trump's ready, he'll get to the stage. When you dispatch of the Asia Hutchinsons of the world and the, what's his name, Gumball? Burgum. Thank you. I actually liked what he had to say, and I like his state. I'm a big fan of North Dakota. North Dakota far superior to South Dakota.
If he can't play basketball without breaking a leg, though, he can't run the country without breaking his back.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you. I mean, he's still more competent than Joe Biden to walk down.
Well, that's a fair point.
But you know, he'll get off the stage. Eventually, you'll watch Chris Christie go quietly into that good night. Probably not before he gets on stage with Donald Trump. Eventually, Trump will do his business, and he'll select a vice presidential candidate. And I'm wondering who you think that should be. Let's go to Stephen next in the borough. Hey, Stephen, how are you?
Hey, great, Matt. Thanks, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing well. What's on your mind?
Yeah, wonderful. So I saw that Tucker Trump interview, man, and something really intrigued me when he said what Pence had done. I had no idea that Pence did have the power to stop those vote tallies from coming in, to stop that count, just to recheck all those votes again before it finalized, because I still feel today that the election was stolen, and the whole COVID outbreak and all that was part of the whole process. So I'm really surprised about that. Also, I just wanted to comment about what I saw with DeSantis.
Got to go quick.
I think he did great. Vivek, he's like a pro-monopoly player guy. DeSantis is more strategic.
All right, got to go. I'm sorry to cut you short, but the time waits for no man, not even me. Here's the news.
Two o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, 99 degrees on Music Row, another hot day. And it'll be a sweaty next few days as we got a heat advisory in effect for most of Middle Tennessee until 8 p.m. this Friday. An excessive heat warning for portions of the mid-state and West Tennessee, really starting at Clarksville and Centerville and beyond. Complete forecast 2 minutes away. The first Republican presidential primary debate was last night. 8 candidates battled it out. Notably missing was the frontrunner, former President Trump, who declined to participate. Karen Travers has details of how President Biden's campaign is responding to the first showdown on the GOP side.
President Biden's campaign says he's actually the winner of last night's Republican primary debate. Spokesman Kevin Munoz telling ABC News the candidates on stage and former President Donald Trump in his interview with Tucker Carlson were putting forward, quote, extreme out-of-touch positions.
When we look at the midterms, when we look at these special elections throughout 2023, Americans are heading to the ballot box on the Biden agenda. They are rejecting these attacks on abortion. They're rejecting these attacks on democracy. So we are going to continue focusing on the real things that Americans care about.
Back here in Tennessee right now, authorities are investigating a deadly shooting in Humphreys County. Channel 4 reports that an 18-year-old is in custody and charged with criminal homicide after investigators say he admitted to shooting his mother in the head and then tried to hide the body and evidence. The woman's body was found in a home just outside of McEwen, and the 18-year-old is now being held at the Humphreys County Jail on an $82,000 bond. In some news with United Airlines, they're reaching a multi-million-dollar settlement with the family of a quadriplegic man who was left in a vegetative state following a deplaning incident. Dave Packer fills us in.
Nathaniel Foster Jr., a quadriplegic, was traveling with his family to Monroe, Louisiana to attend a funeral in February of 2019. During deplaning, the family said a ramp supervisor aggressively and forcefully pushed Foster's wheelchair, causing his body to jerk forward and then slouch back with his feet dragging along the floor. According to the complaint, Foster whispering, "I can't breathe," but the gate agent giggled. A surgeon who offered help told to sit down. Foster going into cardiac arrest, now in a vegetative state. After just one day at trial, United agreeing to a $30 million settlement.
And some UT Vols news, former head football coach and athletic director Philip Fulmer currently hospitalized and will be for a few days for the Fulmer family says is a medical procedure. They did mention that coach is in good spirits, and there were no further details on that operation. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
You hear me often talking about the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief, and really anywhere that moves on your body. If you have pain, go to the Dr. Gill Center and allow them to figure out if it's something that they can solve, and most often it is. They do soft tissue as well as spinal relief. And right now I want to talk to you about knee pain because I have knee pain as we speak. I'm going to be one of these 5 individuals that the Dr. Gill Center is looking for. Here's the deal. If it's painful to walk or perform your day-to-day activities, if you're struggling with knees, we have great news from the Dr. Gill Center. They can relieve your knee pain and offer new and effective non-surgical treatment for knee pain. And right now they're looking for 5 people who suffer from knee pain, 4 if you include me, that to experience significant relief within the next 30 days. In all seriousness, 5 different individuals without pills and without surgery. If you're living with knee pain, what is it costing you? Probably missing out on a lot. Don't miss this opportunity. Call the Dr. Gill Center right now to be one of the first 5 people to get back to a pain-free life with regard to your knee. 615-882-4838. Tell them I sent you. 615-882-4838 for the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. Hello there. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Our final hour together on this Thursday edition, a First Amendment Freestyle Friday edition. Tomorrow expected in the studio with us is Freddie O'Connell. He's a Nashville mayoral candidate. He'll join us at about 2 o'clock, fresh off his quarantine. for the COVID-19 that he got apparently during a Metro Council meeting. We'll ask him about that tomorrow. Also tomorrow on the show, Speaker of the House of Representatives in the Tennessee General Assembly, Cameron Sexton. The expectation is, I haven't really talked about the special session today. The Senate really has limited what we can discuss because the Senate decided that there were really only 3 measures that they believed merited the special session, extraordinary circumstances. And so they closed down committees after passage of 3 bills. And the House of Representatives can stick around as long as they want and do as much as they want, but they're not doing anything without the Senate reopening those committee hearings, and the Senate isn't going to do that. So you can expect probably 3 pieces of legislation to come out of the special session, none of them having anything to do with the red flag laws, as predicted by, me. As predicted by me. Much to the chagrin. Oh, thank you. Is right. Murphy was right. He's 1-1 with Trump. Or Trump and I are 1-1. Thank you. All right. That said, let's shift gears here. See, tomorrow is a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Tomorrow's also Friday. We'll have Jay St. Clair on the show with us, too. And normally on Fridays, we attempt a Friday Mac Attack. But I'm told that Mac Morey will not be in attendance tomorrow. And so, it is with a raspberry at my lips that I welcome you to Friday Mac Attack on Thursday.
A whole segment of Cougar Chow. It's the Friday Mac Attack on the Mac Murphy Show.
I love the fact that you put your mom in the camera position.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's all about her.
So,
and I like how we played my Cougar Chow intro with my mother's.
Don't worry. We're going to talk about that.
Oh, great.
We will speak on that. We'll get to that subject in just a moment. Hello, Mac Morey.
Hello.
Or as you were called on the super text line a moment ago, Mac Morley.
I'm seeing a lot of that. None of that.
I think it's some sort of spell check thing. I don't know. Yeah, it's some sort of spell check thing. So, how you doing?
Doing great, man.
Yeah. Feeling
Fun
good?
Week. Yeah, feeling good.
Feeling good? You got brownies and cake and all sorts of cookies and whatnot.
So much stuff. You guys are trying to fatten me up.
Yeah, you need to put some weight on. You need to get some meat on those bones. To speak to that effort, and just to speak generally about what Mac Morey is like in real life, we begged of Mama Morey to make an appearance on the Matt Murphy Show, and she graciously agreed. Hello, Mama Morey.
Hello. Nice to be here.
I didn't know your name until today.
She's been on the show.
You've been on the show. I've met you on numerous occasions. We've hugged. We've broken bread or whatever. And I didn't. In fact, I have now. I've forgotten it. You're Mama Morey to me.
Exactly.
That's all it needs.
That's the point.
Yeah,
that's right.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
I have a hard time believing a woman as young as you has a son as old as this.
Ridiculous.
Well, thank you, Matt. That's what keeps me coming back.
You see me sucking up.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah. Starting off. Yeah.
That's right.
Get her buttered up.
Does it bother you in any fashion that we refer to your youngster as Cougar Chow?
I am not excited about that.
I bet you're almost as not excited as Hannah.
Yeah, first and second.
I bet we're neck and neck on that. Yeah,
that's it.
Hannah being your beautiful, soon-to-be bride at some point.
At some point, and also, as of 2 years on the day after tomorrow, the day after my birthday. So it's our 2-year anniversary.
Oh, that's nice. So you had your first date with Hannah. Is that the first date, or when you decided you were official?
Asked, yes, when I asked.
When you asked
if she'd be my girlfriend, yeah. Giggity. Which that's enough.
Yeah, you see what I deal with. You see what I'm dealing with constantly. Constantly, I'm dealing with. I mean, occasionally he'll throw in a, and exactly. I don't know why. Yeah, there you go. Wait, I'm curious about this. So, I guess you have to see. I'm so far removed. I've been married for 20 years, so I don't really remember how this used to go. But I guess at some point you have to establish between you and your significant other that we are exclusive now.
Yeah, see, I was wondering that too when I was doing it. I was going, do we still have to do this? And so she would say ask is kind of a strong verbiage. I was like, so are you like my girlfriend? Is what I said. And she was like, yeah, I guess. I mean, I wanted a little bit more.
what the hell is that? Yeah, until something better comes along, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
So you like my
That's
girlfriend? Yeah, but here we are, 2 years later, so it's going well.
That's pretty good. So you guys are pretty open about the fact that at some point there will be some, additional hardware involved.
For sure. One of us is more open to that, yes.
Not that kind of hardware, Bill. I was talking about a ring. I was not.
Hey, just for the record, you might want to check Jason's texts in because none of them are suitable with mom sitting here in front of the Cougar Chow.
Cougar Chow has arrived and he's off to go attend a music festival bearing his own name. Impressive. I don't know what that means.
Me either.
Let's see. That wasn't Jason, by the way. I'm looking for. Oh, there's Jason.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah,
I'm not reading that.
You can't read most of his.
I can't read any of that. I can't read the one about the Cougars. I can't read the one about the excessive heat.
Jason.
I can't read the one about Max Murray. He's telling you not to get married for a specific reason. I can't read it. It's a family frickin' show,
well,
Jason.
Even if it wasn't, you're not going to say any of that in front of his mother.
Well, I mean, yeah, sure. Do you listen to the show, Mama Moore?
I do.
She listens regularly. Don't you see her texts?
Every day.
Mm-hmm. And you, when did you get into town?
This morning.
Yeah, and did you come in exclusively for the birthday?
I did.
Did your boy pick you up at the airport?
I did not fly. I drove.
You drove?
I drove.
Wait, aren't you in Kansas City?
Yeah.
How far of a drive is that?
I stayed in a booming metropolis last night.
Uh-huh.
And then drove the other 2 hours this morning and surprised him.
Big surprise.
So you didn't know she was coming?
I had no clue.
She sounds so much like Fizzy when she talks.
She does sound like
She
Fizzy.
really does.
Yeah, or Fizzy sounds like her.
Yeah, that would probably
that's
be
probably
correct.
more
proper
correct.
verbiage. So where is Matt? You have 3?
4.
4. Where's Mac in the pecking order?
Mac is the third boy. Yep.
All right, so 3 boys and Fizzy.
Yep.
And all right,
Fizzy's
where
last.
is he in terms of likability of your children? Can you,
Oh.
Mama Maury, would you mind ranking your children in terms of most likable, least likable?
So I was listening to Chris Hand this morning, and he was giving the breakdown of all the, the debaters, and there'd be like big gap. Okay.
Right, sure.
Oh, gosh.
Sure.
Oh, no.
Oh, this is good.
So, I mean, there's Fizzy, and then there's,
Everybody else?
right.
Big gap. Everyone else.
Yeah.
But you guys
It's
have met
really
Fizzy.
no secret.
You'd attest to that.
No, Fizzy's slick.
Yeah, she is.
I mean, no, I bet Fizzy can get away with anything.
No, they're all great. Mac makes me laugh, though.
Yeah. He's a good. I can't even call him a young man anymore. You're almost to your 30s.
That's right.
Oh, God.
Quarter
I'm not
century.
coming at this just all willy-nilly ad hoc, people.
Oh, is that a new one?
I don't know. No. What we're hoping to do is collect enough Matt Murphyisms on the board that some days I just don't have to be
You
here.
just do a whole
There you
go.
segment.
It's just one-liners of you saying humorous stuff.
out of context one-liner. Sure. You'll be 26?
25.
25. So
Tomorrow.
you're
I
in
have
your,
scars older than you.
so you're in your mid-20s.
Mid-20s officially. Yep.
Yeah.
Exciting.
You're a quarter century. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Or some would say you're just under a third done. I mean, that's a way to look at it.
I'm okay. Yeah, that's great. Come on. Bring
So-
on the wrinkles. Let's go.
I'm having a difficult time recognizing that I'm twice your age.
I know. Isn't that weird? I think about that sometimes.
It's kind of
too.
bothering me.
Well, because we don't have that sort of, it doesn't feel like that.
Well, no, because we both act like 14.
Yeah, exactly. We're both in 8th grade, so it's okay.
It's all good. I've long maintained that a boy, and this is probably why Fizzy ranks above your 3 boys, Mama Moore, that boys, whatever sense of humor they have at the age of 13 or 14, that's pretty much the sense
That's
of
it
humor
for
they
life.
have the rest of their life.
That's it. for
So,
sure.
the fart jokes never get bad. They never grow old. Yeah, exactly.
See? He's laughing.
So
great.
was there ever a time, Mama Maury, when we all go through it, right? I mean, my grandpa's the most fabulous human being that I think
Yes.
has ever walked the earth. I love my pa.
I believe you.
But even my pa and I went through a period where I was spitting the bit, 17, 18, 19 years old. Did Matt go through that? Did he spit the
say-
bit a little bit?
A little bit here and there, but it never for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you
You ever
know-
sneak out?
Oh yeah. He does stuff like that. Hmm. Sometimes they start talking about the mom. Did you ever know we do? I'm like, stop. I don't want to hear what you're about to say. I don't want to know.
Oh, is it? But now's the time for cleanup, right? I mean, you're
I'm
25.
not ready for it.
You're not ready for the cleanup?
I'm not ready for it yet.
I will concur. I'm not ready
enough
for the
time
cleanup.
has passed.
Are there stories that you will eventually tell your mother that you're like, not yet? Maybe once I have kids and we can kind of compare notes. Or do you want to have kids? I guess I should ask.
I do, yeah.
You and Hannah want to have kids?
Yes, for sure.
You want to have more than one or what?
3.
How many boys, how many girls?
At least we got to have one of each. I mean, it can't be 3 of boys. 3
One,
girls.
right,
Yeah,
sure.
I got to have,
Yeah, one of each and then whatever the
that third one is.
Yeah, sure.
Great.
So have you and Hannah gotten to the point that you actively talk about that? I know you're not like, it's not time for that.
Yeah,
You have to get
I'm
married. and
loving
all
this, by the way. Keep going.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've talked about that.
Well, just be careful because then you're going to be Grandmama Maury, not Mama Maury.
She already is?
I already am.
Oh, wait. You got, wait, I didn't know about this.
Yes, I have 2 grandkids. They're 12 and 9.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's right, because one of
Same
your older
age as
brothers
Mac.
Uncle Mac was 13
Literally.
years old.
Isn't that weird? Yeah, it's so
That's
weird.
kind of funny. But you guys have talked about that?
Yeah,
I mean, you
definitely.
both want
Definitely
want
about
the kids?
when that. Mainly, it's always like a when sort of thing. When do we want to start even doing that sort of thing? So, like, a few years.
5413. Hey, Belle, read this for yourself and tell me if I should share that.
I want to say yes so badly.
Okay, I'm going. 5413 says, ooh, because 5413 is obviously watching on Super Talk TV. And 5413 says, ooh, does Mac need a stepdad?
Oh, my gosh. 5413. I will destroy you.
I will destroy you. Come at me, bro.
Come at me, man. No.
No?
All good over here.
No, okay. I think that was 5413's way of complimenting your mom. Saying
She's
You're being really
Beautiful.
selfish, Mac.
Beautiful.
Why don't you
Nice
think
looking-
about? Don't you think
looking
about
mom.
her and her happiness for once?
My Lord, I didn't realize this, but there's a bunch of them. I'm not even
Wow,
kidding.
Mom.
7422 says if you're Cougar Chow, that means Matt is Buzzard Chow, which is true.
So how many hours of labor was he that he the suffering he put you through?
Actually, it was pretty easy. It was just 4 hours, daytime hours. It was like piece of cake.
No, you're supposed to say almost 48. And
Nope, that was never me.
Is that an appropriate question? I don't know that that's an appropriate question.
I was wondering that same thing.
It's appropriate. It's appropriate.
He deemed it. It's good.
Well, okay. If that's appropriate in your world, Belle, ask Mama Maury if she was natural childbirth or what.
Do you have any drugs?
I did have drugs for Mac, but I didn't for 2 of the other
That's
ones.
he makes her do drugs.
I do drugs for Mac every day.
Actually, with Mac, the doctor comes in and he's like, "Oh, you deliver so quickly. We don't need to do an epidural." And then my husband at the time was like, "Hey, can I talk to you in the hall?"
I was like, yeah, no. Drug that woman up, please.
Yeah, so
Let me
that
correct
happened.
you on something.
Yes.
No, I get, does Mac need a stepdaddy? I got from 6890, is Mac's mom single with a smiley face? Tommy writes in, obviously not watching on Super Talk TV, and said, Mac's mom sounds smoking hot.
I'm so glad I came.
Wait a minute, is 9365 saying she needs an OnlyFans?
Yes. 9365.
Ew.
That's, I'm just repeating the news.
Okay.
I'm not, I just read these things. I'm not endorsing.
Oh, now you sound like me back there in the closet.
I'm
Hey,
just
guys,
reading the news,
guys.
Just telling you what happened. Just telling you Donald Trump's got to turn himself in at 7:30 Eastern time tonight, which, by the way, that's just breaking. Donald Trump has departed for Atlanta. He's surrendering in jail at 6:30 our time tonight. So
that means
that'll be during the latter portion of the drive.
Sometime this evening, mugshot release.
Oh yeah, I imagine. I mean, we
That'll
just
be
got
with
the mugshot of Mark Meadows,
Yeah.
which I think Mark Meadows did pretty good.
He looked all right.
I've been evaluating some of these mugshots. Rudy, just smile. Come on.
Come on, man.
You look up. He's all grumpy.
Always.
I mean, the betting odds are that Donald Trump. It's a big smile, right? When you say,
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah, big smile. Back in the day, you will remember this, Mama Maury, Mac, before your time. Tom DeLay. Everybody remember Tom DeLay?
Yeah.
Texas, right?
Yes.
Tom DeLay was arrested on trumped-up charges that eventually got dismissed, and they mugshotted him. And it was a big, huge scandal in Washington, D.C. before, indictments, fell like, rain. And DeLay got into his mugshot, and it was, just huge smile. And it was almost like a scandal. Oh, but he's like,
Trump is going to smile because as soon as that mugshot's done, he's going to take a copy and start making T-shirts.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Prisoner number 45 and 47. All right. Any other questions for Mama Maury? I don't want to.
None from the super texters.
Any questions for the super texters? Come on out. So we asked you about Matt giving you trouble when he was a kid. We asked you about him sneaking out. You're aware that he snuck out.
Yes.
You know that.
Yeah.
How many times did you sneak out, Matt? A lot?
Decent amount.
What'd you go through the window? Did you
ever catch him drinking?
Depends on the house.
Oh, yeah.
Front door? Did you caught him drinking? What happened there? Tell us about that story.
No comment.
You ever grounded?
What do you mean no comment?
Do you ever get grounded?
Mama Maury.
Did you ever get grounded?
Hold on a second. Mama Maury's Joe Bidening us. She's giving us the old Biden.
I don't know.
With the no comment. Oh.
Well, I'm not sure you should assume I'm not corrupt.
So, was it beer? Was it hard liquor? Was it wine? Was
Pure
it
grain
wine?
alcohol?
Definitely not wine.
Wine
I think
coolers?
it might have been some
Now it's
hard
wine.
liquor. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Definitely beer.
Was
There's been
he
some of those.
in a state of inebriation when you actually caught him?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I
Not
caught
too
him
bad.
pretty early.
Mm-hmm. No, you caught
Early in the evening.
Right at the
so-
point where you think you can go be around your parents when you're, in high
Yeah.
school, and you're like, yeah, man, I'm feeling
Oh,
great.
so you
got this.
got home,
Yeah, I'm good, man. It's all good.
and so you walked in like I'm all.
Hey, I'm cool, guy.
Hey guys, what's up? You're all stinking like liquor,
Yeah, exactly.
and you think you're just fine, and you recognize it immediately.
Of course, yeah.
Was he a rambunctious child, Mama Maury?
What are you doing to me?
I don't know.
What are you doing?
I'm just asking random questions.
Hey, kid, you're the one who invited her
Yeah,
in
that's
there.
true.
It's your segment.
That's right. And it is Friday Mac Attack on
That's true,
Thursday.
that's true.
I tell you what, we're going to take a short time out, and then when we come back, we'll get the world record, which I'm sure you have at your fingertips.
Of course.
It's 223 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I have lost almost 30 pounds. Thank you to PhD weight loss. They call it PhD weight loss. And for me, the PhD means that it's just a smarter way to lose weight. At least it has been for me. Let me tell you all about it. Because I began the PhD program about 7 weeks ago. Average guy loses between 3 and 5 pounds a week. Average female between 2 and 3 pounds a week. And I guess I'm right on average because I'm right at 30 pounds. I'll weigh in officially tomorrow, but I'm right at 30 pounds, maybe a little bit more. Thank you to PhD weight loss. And now I have these exterior circumstances that are coming at me, but because I don't have cravings anymore, I get to say nay. Let me give you an example. Mama Maury brings in this butter cake, and come on, Matt, have some butter cake. You look so great. Have some butter cake. I'm like, no, thank you, Mama Maury, because I'm on the PhD plan, and I don't. And in all seriousness, don't have the cravings. You lose that desire for sugar because you kind of live in a sugar-free lifestyle, and it works. Thank you to Dr. Ashley Lucas and the rest of the crew at PhD Weight Loss. Don't forget about the PhD Guarantee. They'll set some goals. You'll set some goals along with your nutritionist when you begin the program. And if you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of the program, they continue the program and coach you for free until you do. That's really all you can ask for. It's PhD Weight Loss. Visit my weight loss center, myphdweightloss.com. That's myphdweightloss.com.
Former President Trump to get booked into the Fulton County Jail at 7:30 Eastern Time. 2 bodies found at a Lebanon truck stop, plus some more news right here in Tennessee. That and more coming up 30 minutes after the hour of 2 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A few more moments on our Friday Mac Attack on Thursday. Mac Maury out for his birthday tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow. We welcome Jay St. Clair to the program. We'll also welcome Cameron Sexton, the Speaker of the House of the General Assembly of the state of Tennessee, to wrap up the special session. The expectation is that it will finish up by today or tomorrow. And also on the program, Freddie O'Connell is running for Nashville mayor. He will be with us in studio post-COVID at 2:05 tomorrow afternoon.
The autopsies bill for minors passed the House, but since the Senate's not going to take it up, it means nothing, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Unless the Senate reopens committees and pushes bills, companion bills through committees, yeah, they're not taking it up. So I think it is DOA, as is the red flag legislation, as predicted by me. So Mama Maury remains in studio. Mac Maury has run back to the newsroom to gather headlines to present those to you in moments. I am told that you have a Carrie Lake take, which rhymes, so I like it.
Well, everyone's talking about VP picks, and I do like Vivek for that. I think he'll be fantastic. I hope he gets picked for that. But press secretary, I mean, come on.
Oh, it's
it
like
would
ready.
not
That's
get
pretty
better
good.
than that. That would be so entertaining.
I mean, the one thing that Carrie Lake did really well in Arizona before, many people believe they swiped it out from under her feet. But certainly the one thing she did was take on the mainstream media in that state. So that'd be good.
Well, yeah, that's where she came from. I mean, she's so good on her feet. So I really hope she ends up there.
What do you guys think of Mama Maury's Carrie Lake take? 615-737-9986. Press Secretary Carrie Lake. I kind of like that. And I thought, did you watch the debate last night?
I did.
Your thoughts?
I thought Vivek was amazing. I thought DeSantis broke even, which is probably as good as he could have expected to do. He's not a debater, so I thought Pence was a bully. I just didn't like him at all.
He overtalked the buzzer, and I hate it.
I hate that too.
I don't mind you finishing a thought.
Right.
When the bell goes off, ding, ding, you finish whatever you were saying, wrap it up, get to a period. But he went on and on and on and on and on, and
the other thing
it's distasteful.
His attack on Vivek was always about his age. And I'm like, really? With what we have in the White House right now, you're going to attack his youth? That's the wrong way to go.
Called him a rookie. I
mean, I'm not
That didn't work
it.
out too well for Mondale when he did it to Rick.
I mean, and it just sounds and feels so establishment, which is everything that we in the flyover country are standing against at this time in history.
It was literally like he was saying, look, kid, you're not one of the cool kids.
Right. You need to, maybe in a few years you'll be seasoned enough. It's my turn almost. And I did not think it went over well. Now, I know I'm predisposed to not like Mike Pence because he's kind of a war hawk too.
Exactly.
And I think we should extract ourselves from that. So I thought Vivek helped DeSantis have a good night because the fire seemed centered on him.
Clearly, yes.
From Pence, from Christie, and from Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
And so DeSantis kind of just stood there and became a wallflower.
Yeah, and I like DeSantis. I think, I give him a pass on the debate stage. That's not who he is. But I think he's a great governor, and I'd like to see him stay there.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear it a lot. Obviously the true winner is Donald Trump.
Right.
By not being on the stage. All right, that wraps it up for Mama Maury Mac Attack on Super Talk 99.7 WGN. Thank you, Mama Maury.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 2:32. The real Mac Maury will stand up and do the news right now.
It's 32 minutes after the hour of 2 o'clock and an even 100 degrees now in Music City. Heat advisory for a good amount of Middle Tennessee until 8 p.m. tomorrow. Excessive heat warning for the western portion of Middle Tennessee until 8 p.m. tomorrow. Full weather forecast in 2 minutes. As Donald Trump prepares to turn himself in on racketeering charges in Fulton County, Georgia, the DA there is grappling with trial scheduling issues. Stephen Portnoy.
District Attorney Fonnie Willis hopes to try all 19 co-defendants in the same courtroom, but attorneys for several of them are complicating her plans. Georgia law allows any one of the co-defendants to request an expedited trial, and one of them, lawyer Kenneth Chesebro, already has. That's leading Willis to propose that the trial start just 2 months from now. Donald Trump's new attorney is objecting to that, saying the former president wants to sever his case from Chesebro's, and that would mean multiple trials before multiple Georgia juries.
The former president's supposed to get booked tonight at 7:30 Eastern Time. Right now in Tennessee, 2 bodies were found at a Lebanon truck stop this morning, according to News 2. The 2 bodies were inside the cab of a truck at the Pilot on Highway 231. This is off of I-40. Both bodies are being brought to the medical examiner's office for further examination. And New York overwhelmed that from the state's governor after the arrival of over 100,000 migrants in the past month. Here's Dave Packer.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul writing to President Biden calling for executive action to help the state manage the flood of asylum seekers.
The reality is we've managed thus far without substantive support from Washington. And despite the fact that this is a national, indeed an inherently federal issue.
Hochul says the state has already committed over $1.5 billion and projects the migrant crisis could cost the state an additional $4.5 billion next year. New York City Mayor Eric Adams says supporting asylum seekers will cost his city $12 billion.
And some quick traffic news. A wreck on Interstate 24 westbound. This is at exit 64. It's got traffic backed up for miles. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
All of this talk about the heat, you just heard the man talking about the heat index. I mean, my goodness, I can't imagine the AC going out, but I can imagine what I would do if it happened. And I would call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling promptly, and he will get a service tech to you very swiftly. He understands that you can't survive in the heat without AC, and so he is sending those service techs out fast and furious if your AC has a problem. And sadly, it is a fact that in the hottest conditions, ACs seem to go out a little more regularly because they're working even harder. If your AC is working hard and it's not getting you cool, call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. He'll fix what ails that AC unit. And if it's time to replace, obviously they're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric, an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. They're the only folks that I would trust in my home, and I trust them in your home as well. EfficientHVAC.net or call 615-784-4424. It's Efficient Heating and Cooling. Don't stay sweaty. Call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Supertalk 99.7 WTN 239. Thank you for being with us. In about 20 minutes or so, we hand the baton to The Drive with Brian Wilson. Hopefully, we'll get to catch up with Brian prior to doing that. And then it's off to a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Before I get there, I go to the fair tonight, Wilson County Fair. Hopefully, I'll get a turkey leg. That's my hope. I'm not sure if it'll happen or not. Did you know next week I'll be at the Americans for Prosperity Tennessee Summit? And you can be there as well if you go to afptnsummit.org. And our next guest will be there. Robbie Starbuck will be standing alongside and offering his thoughts on getting America back on track. And he joins us on the Murphy Show hotline to talk about last night's debate and amongst other things. Hey, Robbie, how are you?
Oh, I'm just real nice and cool over the past few days. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Robbie, I can't wait to see you next week, by the way. I'd be remiss if I didn't remember this, but you'll be at the event, Americans for Prosperity event. So I'm looking forward to actually shaking your hand and meeting you in person.
It's going to be a great event. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for people. If you haven't gone to one of these events before, this is a good one to go to because there's going to be so many different people to hear from that really have a great effect on our daily lives, and I think that if you ever wanted that opportunity to sort of catch the ear of one of those people, it's a good place to do it.
Robbie, tell me about your experience last night. Did you watch any of the debate live? Did you choose to watch Tucker v. Trump? How did you do it?
So I actually skipped both altogether last night. I did watch both of them today. So last night, me and my wife took our son to a concert. It was awesome. He loves that stuff. But I did watch the Trump-Tucker one first, which is now at over 200 million views. And then I watched the debate after. And the debate was underwhelming, in comparison to the other. But when you look at those numbers, that's what's really staggering. Over 200 million people watched it just on Tucker's Twitter feed, okay? Or X feed. I guess they call it X now. That's incredible.
No, it is, and it goes to the power of not only Tucker Carlson, but obviously the power of the 45th president of the United States. Initially I was a little mildly critical of Donald Trump for not going to the debate. I feel like at some point he ought to stand before the American people with the others on stage. But after watching the debate last night, I have to say Trump was right. I mean, it was like the kids' table at Thanksgiving dinner, and Trump is sitting over at the adult table waiting for the kids to figure out who's man or woman enough to take him on in the Republican primary. I think it was a smart move on his part to sit this one out.
I agree. The reality is there's a bunch of people on that stage who shouldn't be there. There's the Doug Burnham guy who literally had to pay people to donate to him. He gave them $20 gift cards in exchange for $1 so he could meet the threshold of donations to get on that stage. There's people like Chris Christie who's literally just doing a campaign to bash Trump. Why would you go on stage with him? No matter how you feel about Trump, he's got a massive lead in the primary. What is the net positive of going up there? However, I agree with you. He does need to debate at some point. Not just because it's an important American ideal, I think. People need to hear from the eventual, sort of final two, final three. But I think that beyond that, he's just good at debates. So it would be good to go up there, especially because, one of the things that's going to be talked about by detractors, they're going to say he's getting older. We'll go up there on a debate stage and show them how sharp you are. I think that's one of the great ways to do it. But you can't argue with the decision last night. I mean, he took over 200 million viewers instead of going on a debate stage where he would have just had food thrown at him from the kids' table, because the whole thing would have just been the why I hate Trump, therapy session if Trump was there.
Was there a potential VP candidate? I look at the polls, and it would take something extraordinary, in my opinion, to not have Donald Trump as our eventual Republican nominee. In your mind, Robbie, was there a potential VP selection on stage last night, or were they somewhere else?
Potentially, however, if I had to put money down today, I would say it's going to be somebody who was not on that stage last night. I like Vivek obviously stole the show, but, I'm worried about a guy who went along with the masks, went along with the vaccine at first, and now, is speaking out against those things. But he went along with everything at first, and, that gives me pause. But beyond that, he has no political history. You don't need to have been in office. I actually prefer an outsider who hasn't been in office. However, you should have some sort of track record to run on. Vivek doesn't have one at all. In fact, he didn't even vote in a presidential election until the last one. Okay, so if you haven't voted in presidential elections in your lifetime, have no real track record for people to go off of, it's just really hard for me to believe that in the last 2 years you had a sudden awakening where you became this incredible candidate with great positions. Now, is it possible? Sure. I just don't think that your first step after that great massive change in your life would be to run for president. I think that would be kind of, grandiose thinking and maybe a little narcissistic. But, I like, if you just went by what he said, it's impressive. He says impressive, great things. But I just don't know that I buy the whole thing, and maybe that'll change over time and he'll prove to people that there's a reason to believe it. But I'd say if anybody, sort of had kind of put themselves out there in that position, maybe him. DeSantis obviously has been the best governor in the country. So I don't think there's a debate about that. If you were just going for just chops on policy and somebody to get things done, I would say he'd be a great VP. However, there's the Florida thing where they both live in Florida, and that's a problem in a presidential election. So I don't know that that's going to happen. And I think that there's a lot of, let's say, no love lost between the two camps. I think that's going to happen.
You're right. Vivek was the central figure of attacks. Chris Christie attacked him. Mike Pence attacked him. Nikki Haley took her turn attacking him. And I thought he responded to those attacks very well. But I thought because he was the central figure of attack, that boded well for both himself. It gave his profile a boost, and it went well for Ron DeSantis. I mean, for him to stand there kind of above the fray, comment when he was called on, but kind of stay out of all of that. I felt like those two came out fairly good. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd say if you had to pick two winners, I would say that. The one thing that I was frankly surprised by, because Ron is a very smart guy, was there was a moment when they were all asked, would you stand with Trump still if he won the primary and then was incarcerated by, let's say, this crazy DA down in Georgia or whatever it may be. And they said, raise your hand if you are. And if you watch that clip again, you'll notice that, Vivek puts up his hand very quickly, and DeSantis turns and looks around at what everybody's doing before he raises his hand. Even if he didn't mean that in any sort of special way and it was just a reflex, it makes it look like you're looking to other people's leadership to make a decision instead of being a leader. That would worry me as a voter. If I said, oh, Trump doesn't exist, that would be the thing that would worry me. But I do, again, love everything he's done in Florida. So I think there's a great track record with DeSantis.
I love the idea of Vivek as the political outsider. You are somewhat the ultimate political outsider, none of which is of your own doing, Robbie. I just want to ask you a personal question because we haven't had a chance to talk about this since it happened. But, you've gone round and round with the Tennessee GOP, and now they're passing new bylaws. I call these the Robbie Starbuck bylaws. With regard to who is and is not eligible. Any public thoughts on the latest round between yourself and the Tennessee GOP?
Yeah, I mean, they haven't voted and finalized this yet, but for those who don't know what you're talking about, it's this idea that, I would not be allowed to run for 10 years. This is not the entire Tennessee GOP. There's plenty of, great people in Tennessee GOP who don't agree with this. It's up in the air in terms of whether this will happen or not. I guess we'll find out as this, gets closer with the vote. I will say this: if you care, and even if you don't like me, but you just think the idea of banning somebody from running for office for 10 years is a bad thing, just tell your SEC member it's something you don't agree with, and tell them that it's important in our system, even if you don't agree with a certain candidate, that people have a choice. And that's kind of what I've always said: is just give people a choice. And I'll never understand the idea of anybody not wanting to give people a choice. I think that's like the very core Central American idea. But, I know some people have gone and they've done polls and stuff, and there's people who are worried that if I ran for office that, I would win. And, I'm not even thinking about running for office, so I can tell you right now, I mean, this would be sort of news because people have asked me a lot. I'm not planning on running for Congress. I'm not planning on running for anything right now. I'm very busy with projects I'm doing. I'll always be involved, because I've got priorities of our own. One of them coming up here is in the next session, not the special, but the next one, I would like to pass a bill that will pass a death penalty for pedophiles, child rapists specifically. So, there's always going to be priority issues that I'll go and I'll fight for.
Well, I wanted to ask you about it because I do believe that it's an affront to the concept of the representative republic that you would be precluded from being a part of the process because a select few have been butthurt about how things went over the past several years. But be that as it may, it's good to talk with you. It's good to get your thoughts on the debate last night, and I look forward to seeing you next week, Robbie.
You too. See you there, and
All
hope
right,
to see people who are listening today.
Absolutely. Take care. There's a Robbie Starbuck. He'll be at the American for Prosperity event, that summit coming up. Why do I always forget? It's the Maxwell Millennium House or the Millennium Maxwell House? I can't get it straight.
Either or.
Is it either or is it either or? Is it neither?
Neither.
Let's call the whole thing off. Huge shipment. I said huge shipment of safes in Nashville Safe House. Brownings, they got them. Fort Knox, they got them. They got just about everything that you can shake a stick at and more at Nashville Safe House. You just have to see it for yourself. If you've not bought a safe yet, what are you waiting on? Mark is ready at Nashville Safe House. He gets shipments in all the time. He's got a selection unmatched, not just in the region, but in the United States of America. On some days, depending on how many he has going out of the back doors, out of the back facility, he's got as many as 600 safes, both in his warehouse and in his showroom. That's a lot of safes. It's a lot of gun safes. It's a lot of corporate safes. It's a lot of jewelry safes of all shapes and sizes. They have the right one for you. You just have to see it for yourself. Go online at NashvilleSafeHouse.com to find out more. That's NashvilleSafeHouse.com. Or better yet, stop by 4th Avenue South, just across from City Cemetery, and tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the Nashville Safe House.